Welcome to my next predictions videos. We have UFC 323 this Saturday night. Just going to give my predictions for the main card, and remember, as always, that the card is subject to change, and for the foreseeable future, this is going to be the last time that we have to pay $85 for a UFC pay-per-view event, as on Paramount starting in January, it will just be the monthly fee of $13.99 or $12.99 for Paramount Plus, which I already had for Dexter Resurrection content and random other things. So I was already in with Paramount Plus, so that's just a bonus. Now, will they ever go back to pay-per-view? I think it's possible that they start charging for pay-per-view again. It would probably be after the Paramount deal, which I can't remember how long that lasts. You know, maybe the UFC won't be as good as far as profiting, and they have to start charging for pay-per-view, so I could see them going back to it. Like WWE was $9.99 a month for the WWE Network. Then they went to Peacock, and it went up a little bit, but not too much, like $11 or $12 or $13.99. And then now they're on ESPN for the ESPN Unlimited package, which is $29.99. So it's possible that they do go back to charging a lot of money for pay-per-views, but at least not for the foreseeable future, and hopefully never again, because I love just only paying, $13 to $15 a month. I can handle that. I'll actually be able to save some money and not go into credit card debt ordering UFC events. So happy about that. Before I get into my predictions, though, I'm rambling. A few things. If you're a fan of the UFC and you like prediction videos as well as reaction videos, fight reaction videos, and want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you hammer fist that like button. It does help out the channel quite a bit. Share this video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms, especially MySpace, because we all love MySpace. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are regarding these predictions for UFC 323. Thoughts on my predictions, predictions of your own, future fights that you want to see, future fight predictions, future fight cards that you have mapped out. What's going to be the card at the White House? I know they haven't started on that yet, allegedly, but what's going to be the main event? Are they going to go with Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler? I wouldn't be too happy about that. Are they going to go with John Bones Jones versus Alex Poatan Pereira? I would love that. Dana White says no, but, I don't know. I think Jones is going to be on the White House card. And you guys know I'm a John Jones fanatic. I love John Jones, despite everything that's happened with him. He's the best to ever do it. He's the GOAT, in my opinion. So let me know your thoughts on that. And then last but certainly not least, well, actually, let me back up a minute. You know that I react to fights as well. So about an hour after the card is over with, maybe a little bit sooner, I'll post my first reaction to UFC 323. Typically, it's the main event. Sometimes I have to pivot to the co-main event because I get copyright claims, which actually on the last card, they copyright claimed the main event and the co-main event. So I had to go with Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates, which actually was probably my best reaction to the night anyway. So I'm glad that one was my first fight uploaded, but it didn't do as good as Brady versus Morales. So, so about an hour after the card is over with, I'll post my first reaction. If it's not the main event, there's a copyright claim involved or something like that. And what happens with that, I dispute it right away. It takes 48 hours for it to get removed. Sometimes, or it takes 48 hours for it to get viewable by the public. Sometimes they remove the claim right away, like within like an hour. Sometimes they don't. They can wait like 30 days to finally get around to it, and then it just goes away. But I've never had it rejected where, this is a legit claim. It always gets approved. But just so you know, and then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel and help me get over 100K subscribers. Yes, I know I set my goals pretty high. And at the end of this video, with about 20 seconds left to go, I'll put some fights and some fight highlight reels. I'll put Joshua Van versus Verano Royval and Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley 2. And then I'll put my 2023 fight reaction highlight reel and my 2024 fight reaction highlight reel. And obviously, coming in January, like January 8th or 9th, I'll be uploading my 2025 fight reaction highlight reel. My reaction to Alex Poatan Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. That was a good one. Probably a little overdone. I reacted a little bit too much to that one, but that was a good one if you ask me. So stay tuned for that. So kicking things off on the main card in the light heavyweight division. This is actually my second time recording this video. The first time, for some reason, it wasn't available on my computer. I don't know where it went. We have Jan Blachowicz, the former light heavyweight champion, versus Bogdan Gushkov. This is going to be an interesting fight. Obviously, Blachowicz is older. He's 42 years old. He's been lackadaisical lately. Like, in my opinion, his last real win was against Israel Adesanya. Yes, I know he won against Alexander Rakic, but that was him getting injured, Rakic. And he was winning the fight, in my opinion, until the fluke injury that happened, and he was out for like over a year. Bogdan Gushkov, not a lot of people know a lot about him. I don't know that much about him, but I'll tell you one thing. This guy's got freaking power. He's got tremendous power, and he's going to utilize it, I think. Now, Blachowicz, you know, that fight against Glover Teixeira, I feel like, the sports betting stuff, was that fight fixed? Because he did not try at all against Glover Teixeira and tapped relatively easily, in my opinion. And then he had the no contest with Magomed Ankalaev. I thought Ankalaev won that fight and should have been crowned the light heavyweight champion that night. But I'm not a judge for the UFC. So, and now he's lost a couple fights in a row since that. So he's on a losing streak, and he's an older guy. He does have that Polish hammer though. And then, like I said, Gushkov is really good. So I'm actually going to go with Gushkov. Now, I don't remember who the favorite is. I think it's Blachowicz, but I'm going with Gushkov. I think he's going to catch him and possibly knock out Blachowicz. So that's my prediction for that. And then in the bantamweight division, we have Triple C, Henry Cejudo, facing the Phenom, some would call, Peyton Talbot. This is supposed to be Henry Cejudo's last fight, and it sounds like it's going to be. Obviously, he's a former champ in the flyweight division as well as the bantamweight division, but he hasn't won a fight in a while. His last win was against Dominic Cruz. That was back in 2020, May 9th of 2020, when they came back from the pandemic break. Justin Gaethje slaughtered Tony Ferguson that night. That was a fucking wild fight. Gaethje just dominated Ferguson. But he hasn't looked terrible, but he also hasn't looked like Henry Cejudo lately. He lost to Aljamain Sterling, which was a close fight. Merab, he couldn't figure out Merab Dvalishvili. And then, of course, the fight against Song Yadong, which he was looking good in, and then got eye-poked and was compromised for the rest of the fight, but continued on. Unlike Tom Aspinall. I'm not hating on Tom Aspinall. There's some serious issues with his eye. But like Yuri Prohaska says, I've got another eye. But Aspinall did get poked in both eyes in the same strike. So I get what Tom Aspinall is going through. So I shouldn't be too hard on Tom Aspinall. But Peyton Talbot's really good. He hasn't fought a lot of big contenders, and he lost that, he got wrestled and taken down in one of the fights, but then he came back and won his last fight. I think Peyton Talbot is really good. Obviously, he needs experience in the octagon. Henry Cejudo is short. He doesn't have his reach is only 64, and he's 38 years old. Peyton Talbot's 5'10", and he's only 27 and a 70 and a half inch reach advantage. Now, I think Talbot's the favorite. I know these guys are friends. I'm going to go with Peyton Talbot to knock out Henry Cejudo, which doesn't happen often. Only time he's been finished was Demetrius Johnson. But I'm predicting Talbot to knock out Henry Cejudo. Unfortunately, Henry Cejudo is not going to go out with a victory. He could win. He's going to have to get takedowns, and he's going to have to be Triple C again. But I just don't see that in him anymore. He lost a lot. When he retired in 2020, he shouldn't have done that because he's lost a step since then. So I'm going with Peyton Talbot to win. And then next up in the flyweight division, we have the former flyweight champion, Brandon Moreno, versus the challenger, Tatsuro Taira. Now, I don't know a lot about Tatsuro Taira. Brandon Moreno's really, really good, and people say he's old. He's only 31 years old. What the fuck are you talking about? He's really good. He's fought the who's who at flyweight. He lost to Brandon Moreno recently, or that is his name. He lost to Brandon Royval lately, but now he's coming off of a win. Tatsuro Taira also lost to Brandon Royval, so Brandon Royval has got people's numbers here. He just can't beat Pantoja. The stats, pretty much the same, 5'7" to 5'7". Tatsuro Taira is only 25. Moreno's 31. Tatsuro Taira is going to go for a submission. That's what he's trying to try to grapple and get a submission. And Moreno can strike. He can do a lot of stuff. He can wrestle. He can strike. He's a complete fighter, and he's really fucking good. So Tatsuro Taira right now is actually the favorite. I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno to win this fight. I think he's going to get the job done. How he gets it done, I don't know. Maybe he'll reverse something or get a submission on Tatsuro Taira. Not sure, but I think that's how he wins, and he wins this fight. And then in the co-main event of the evening, the fight I'm actually looking forward to the most on this card, we have the challenger, Joshua Van, one of my favorite fighters in the UFC, versus the reigning, defending flyweight GOAT, in my opinion, Alexandre Pantoja, who's beaten everybody in the flyweight division. But now he has a new challenger in Joshua Van. Joshua Van had that fight of the year against Brandon Royval. Yes, that would be my fight of the year. I know Jack Della Maddalena versus Bilal Muhammad was pretty good. Bilal used his Canelo hands and started going for takedowns the whole fight, so that was good. But, I mean, Royval and Van was awesome. I mean, yeah, Yuri Prochazka, Khalil Roundtree was really good. At least, you know, it was kind of one-sided in the first 2 rounds, and then that round 3 was crazy. But that was just round 3. But I don't know. I liked Van versus Royval. Really good fight. And that's the fight that I take. But Van, can he beat Pantoja? Pantoja is hittable. It's just how long can you hit him before he gets you down and submits you? That's the problem. Pantoja's got a good game. He can strike. He can grapple. He can take you down. He can submit you. He can ground and pound you. He can do a lot of things. And Van's just going to keep coming and throwing punches. He says he's good with takedown defense. He hasn't really had to prove it much in the UFC. So that's something that he could be taken down really easily. And then, like, it was a waste to give him this title shot. I'm going to go with Alexandre Pantoja. If Joshua Van wins, I will be ecstatic. I like Pantoja. He's a good fighter. I just really, 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 really like Joshua Van. I hope he gets the job done, but I don't see how Pantoja loses. I think the only guy he might lose to is Manel Kape. And Manel Kape has to get in the octagon to fight, which he's fighting Royval next week. But is that fight actually going to happen? And then he has to beat Royval and then maybe get a title shot if whoever wins that fight should get a title shot next, I would think. So I'm picking Alexandre Pantoja to retain the flyweight title. And then in the main event of the evening, the former bantamweight champion Petr Yan takes on the reigning defending bantamweight GOAT Merab Dvalishvili for Merab's bantamweight championship. Merab's 4th title defense in 2025. How awesome is that? Can we put something on Merab Dvalishvili's name? Yes. Sometimes he's a little boring with his constant pressure, take down, get back up, he gets taken down again. But he finished Sean O'Malley, which was awesome. And he's a likable guy. He wants to fight. And I'm really pissed at some fighters that don't fight. Like Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Justin Gaethje only had 1 fight in 2025. I'll talk more about them after this prediction. And just other guys like Arman Tsarukyan, 1 fight. Dan Hooker, 1 fight. Barrett, he was injured though, so I'll give him that. You know, John Jones, no fights. Tom Aspinall, 1 fight. More because he was waiting for John Jones. Just a lot of guys that barely fight. And Merab's defending his title for the 4th time this year. Merab is the GOAT and the fighter of the year. Petr Yan, he's a slow starter. You know, he already fought Merab actually once. This is their 2nd fight. He got taken down a lot. He had a broken hand or a hand injury in that fight, so he did as good as he could. He didn't get finished, but Merab typically doesn't finish people. What Yan has to do is really be aggressive early on. Keep Merab backing up. Don't let Merab Dvalishvili push forward. But that might even not work for him. Merab's just a different kind of beast and a different kind of animal. I think this will be a more highly contested fight than their first one, I hope. I don't think Petr Yan deserves this shot, but Umar probably wasn't ready to fight yet. And Merab, crazy fucker that he is, wanted to fight again this year. And he'll probably want to fight in February too, which all power to him. The more times we see Merab Dvalishvili fight, the more input you have on him, the more weaknesses that you'll see. So he can be beat at some point, I'm guessing, but I don't know if it's going to be against Petr Yan or Peter Yan, whatever you want to call him. Some people call him Petr, some people call him Peter. I heard Petr first when I first started watching him, and that's what I'm going to call him. But I'm going to pick Merab Dvalishvili to successfully defend his title. Probably going to be via decision, which means the fight will probably get a copyright claim. I'm probably going to upload Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van first, because I think that fight will be a finish. So just to give you guys a heads up, but I think Merab is going to be too much for Petr Yan. Yan is a slow starter, and Merab's going to come charging and trying to take him down right away. And he's got some good strikes too as of late. He freaking hurt Corey Sandhagen really bad too. So that is my predictions for the main event at UFC 323. And I hope you enjoyed this predictions video. And obviously we have UFC 324 on Paramount Plus starting on January 24th. And then UFC 325 a week later. That's crazy. The main event. A lot of people are pissed about the main event. Justin Gaethje versus Paddy the Baddy Pimblett for the interim interim lightweight championship. I don't think Paddy the Baddy Pimblett deserves a title shot at all. He only beat Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green. Doesn't deserve a shot at all. Justin Gaethje's he's won 3 out of his last 4 fights. He beat Dustin Poirier. He beat Rafael Fiziev twice, and then lost to Max Holloway. He got slept against Max Holloway. I think Gaethje at least deserves some consideration for a title shot. Paddy the Baddy Pimblett does not. I think if he was ready, it should have been Justin Gaethje versus Arman Tsarukyan, and then Paddy the Baddy should have fought maybe even Dan Hooker or Gamrot or something like that. Whatever. He's a marketable guy. People love him. I don't. I think he probably beats Gaethje. That's not my official prediction, but Gaethje's got to be good on the ground. Gaethje's got to be good at defending, grappling, and I don't think he will be. He's just going to want to stand and trade, and I don't think Paddy the Baddy Pimblett's going to be dumb enough to do that. So I don't like the fight necessarily. I mean, I like the fight if it's not a title shot, or if it's not an interim title fight or an interim shot at the title. I like it if it's not like the main event of the evening, but Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harris is not the main event of this card. That's crazy. But anyway, that's my thought on that. I hope you don't enjoy this predictions video. Make sure you hammer fist the like button to help me out with the YouTube algorithm. Share the video with a friend. My throat's really dry right now. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on all my predictions. Anything else that I talked about in this video. Remember to come back to this channel about an hour after the fight card's over with to watch my reactions to the first fight, which probably will be the co-main event of the evening because Merab versus Jan will probably go 5 rounds, I think. And then I'll put different videos for you can watch. Van versus Royval and Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley 2, and then my fight reaction highlight reels from 2023 and 2044. And then again, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to my channel. Help me get over 100K subscribers. Yes, I know I set my goals pretty high. Join the team, share your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.